I am with another video of mine on communication, which is perspective in communication. So let us begin with introduction. Perspective, which means a particular attitude towards something or someone, or we can say our point of view. So communication perspective help us in social, political and cultural issues that we are facing for our nation and world. So, what is individual perception? According to us, what we see and what we understand, that is individual perception. It is our view through which we handle a situation or a topic to communicate. So, we all see the world with our own thinking. So, we called it individual perception. We all are never see all the persons with same opinion or same thinking. Our perception for that person totally based on our communication or our relationship with that person. So perspective can be visual, due to language, due to feelings, or it depends upon the environment in which we work. So here there are some perception like visual perception and language perception, which is very important in perspective in communication. So we'll go through with visual perception. It is ability to see, organize and interpret one's environment, which is called in visual perception. For example, our eyesight, vision, that is example of visual perception. Visual perception is the ability to see and to interpret the information. It is the ability to see and interpret the visual information. If perception is inaccurate or incorrect, it leads to problem in reading, handwriting, spelling, etc. Reading, which means not possible without visual perception. It gives us ability to learn new information. In order to receive information from the environment, we are equipped with sense organs. Sense organs like our eyes, ear, nose, these are sense organs in our body. So each sense organ is a part of sensory system which receives sensory inputs and transmits sensory information to the brain. With for example, a child with visual perception problem may be diagnosed with a visual processing disorder. So he or she may be able to read or can see chart but have difficulty to organize and making sense of visual information. According here, there are some points includes following things, which are visual discrimination, form discrimination, foreground background differentiation and visual memory. So in visual discrimination, it includes ability to notice differences like shape, size, color, etc. In form discrimination, it includes differences in objects when they are in orientation like sex or gender, race, sexual orientations, and so on. In foreground and background differentiation, it includes focus on a selected target and ignore out non-relevant images. So these are the example of foreground and background. Element of image and one's social heritage, or we can say what one did in the past, that is example of foreground and background differentiation. And in the last, visual memory, it is the ability to remember letters and words and recognize them quickly when you see that things again. This is called visual memory. So here this is all about visual perception in perspective in communication. So let's move with the another perception, which is language perception. So language shapes our perception. Language not only helps in communication but it shapes our perception. Language affects the way in which its speaker expresses his words or influences other people. Various emotions or feelings and experience can be influenced by the pattern of the language a person speaks. The same word can have different meanings depending on how we interrupt them. So language affects, as we say that language affect the way in which its speaker express his words or influence other people. So here are some example for punctuations, that how punctuations is important in language whenever we communicate with each other. So in the first example, a woman without her man is nothing. So you can identify the difference between first sentence and the second sentence, that a woman without her man is nothing, which means woman is nothing without her man. In the second example, a woman without her man is nothing, which means man is nothing without woman. So with the help of punctuations, we can identify the difference between same sentence and different meaning. Same thing in the second example, it's time to eat children, which means we are going to eat children. And in the second we used comma, it's time to eat children. So children, it's time to eating. So here are the differences totally different with the only punctuation of comma. Like that, todo nahi jodo, that is a positive way, but todo nahi jodo, that is on negative side. So here are some example of language that we uses while we communicate, and how punctuations are important, like full stop, comma, colon, semicolon, brackets, question mark, quotations. These are very much important whenever we communicate with other persons. So we'll move to our next slide, which is other factors affecting our perspective. So there are various factors which can affect our perspective, hence affecting how we can communicate with others. Some of these factors come from our past experience, our prejudice, our feelings, and our environment. So we'll go one by one from each the factor. So the first one is past experience. One past experience greatly affect our way of thinking. Everyone sets their mind according to one's past experience. So on the particular topic, then we are in clear state information wise. So but we have a past experience. If someone have, for example, if someone have angry nature and you have bad experience with that person, so you aware others too before talking with that person. So most probably nowadays heartbroken happens a lot. So basically your we want our past experience to influence our future communication. So our past experience greatly affect our way of thinking. Sometimes we want our past experience to influence our future communication. For example, when we are team responded positively to the sale tactics we put in a place, then some tactics can be followed again and again, but where our negative past experience alter our communication and our full potential, then we should be aware of it. So here are some examples that affects our current communication because of our bad past experience. So we past experience acts as a filter through which we seize a particular situations. So we enter in a situation, a meeting or a conversation with a certain expectations of what will happen in that situation, and we behave according to our past experience. So in short, our past experience greatly affects our way of thinking. One sets his mind according to one's past experience. So these are the examples and what is past experience is all about. So here we will move to our next, which is a prejudice. Okay, so it is usually unfavorable feelings towards people or a person because of the gender, values, age, religion, occupation, languages, education, or other personal characteristics. We all have prejudice. It occurs due to past experience with a person, and we start thinking that the same type of experience will happen with all the person who are like the first one. So prejudice involves both positive and negative characteristics. The problem occurs when prejudice start affecting how or with whom we communicate. So this generally occurs at workplaces. Prejudice occurs when we take single experience with one type of person and then act as if all the people of the same type in future will result in the same experience. So by doing this, we eliminate their individuality. So prejudice greatly limit the chances of communication being successful or producing the desired results. So prejudice are due to cultural and personal preferences or experiences. We must avoid prejudice during communication and should treat each person as a separate individual and must respect his ideas. So this is what about prejudice in perception in communication. So we'll move to our next factor, which is feelings. So feelings, as we know that is a major factor which affects our perspective a lot. So feelings affect our communication with another person. When we feel happy, we communicate better, but if we feel ill or sick, no, we will not communicate effectively. We even do not want to listen to others idea. Sometimes we feel different for a specific person. When we like someone, we communicate with him effectively and easily, but we do not like someone, so we communicate in a different way. Feelings are also known as a state of consciousness, such as that result from emotions, sentiments, or desires. A person's current mood affects the way he judges others. So this is about feelings, that when our feelings change, different chemicals are released into our bodies, which forces us to see the world through a new angle. So this is some scientific reason about feelings. The way we see the world at a particular moment is greatly influenced by how we feel during the moment. For example, when we are relaxed, right, so we can do anything for a person asking for a help, but we when we are stressed, we can't even tolerate any person asking for help again and again. So we need to become more conscious of our emotions and feelings and try to understand how they affect our own perception. So this is what about feelings for perception in communication. So here we'll move to our next and the last factor which affects our perspective, which is environment. So this term refers to how we as a society communicate on our problems and interaction with our natural environment. All of us communicate differently in a different environment. Environment has a great influence on our communication. For example, we speak to our colleague and friends in a different way. We should have communication skills to recognize the environment which had negative impact on our ability to communicate effectively with others. This skill will help us in effective communication as well. So it will make the person more comfortable and to attain level of formality which is important in a particular situations. Even we should have a communication skills to recognize the environment which had a negative impact, as before I told you that our ability to communicate effectively with the others, it all depends upon environment surround around us. So this is what about environment, and here I'm going to end my video. So thanks a lot and stay tuned for more video.